All right, the midterm results are not fully in, but I think it's worthwhile to take a few minutes to talk about what we saw last night. So, first of all, clearly there was not a red wave as so many pollsters and so many pundits and so many Republicans were saying there was going to be. They said it was going to be a slaughter. They thought that it was going to be one of the worst midterms for Democrats in history. It wasn't. And typically, whoever the sitting president is and whatever party they represent, they usually lose seats in the midterms. It's just what happens. But it doesn't look like Democrats have lost all that many seats. And they may still lose the House. There's a chance that they may lose the Senate also, which would be really unfortunate. But clearly, Republicans underperformed. And I think to some degree, that is a testament to some of the awful, awful candidates that Republicans put forward. Not in every case, because in Georgia, they put forth Herschel Walker, who's a terrible candidate. He is, by all measures, not mentally stable. He has said that he's played Russian roulette by himself multiple times. He has threatened to kill and beat his wife or his girlfriend in the past. There's just, I mean, he can't complete a sentence. He offers nothing by way of policy. He has no relevant experience, yet he is basically in a dead tie with Raphael Warnock. And it's incredible, too, because you have evangelical Christians that are turning out for Herschel Walker when he has fathered multiple children out of wedlock, is, completely absent parenting from them, has offered to pay for apparently multiple abortions. And Raphael Warnock is a Christian pastor. So go figure. Evangelical Christians remain the most hypocritical group in this country. Shocker. There are some amazing takeaways, though, from, some of these folks who have been just, out there talking about what they thought was going to happen and then realizing what happened. I mean, just listen to Steve Doocy before and after the election.
The Democrats probably should say, you know what? We put too much emphasis on abortion and the threat to democracy and not enough emphasis on kitchen table stuff. Abortion and democracy were the two of the biggest issues with voters.
Incredible. I mean, it's really just amazing to see somebody like Doocy on Fox News spouting utter nonsense for weeks, getting it completely wrong. At least he admitted that, maybe didn't say he got it wrong, but admitting, the issues were clearly, abortion and January 6th / the fate of our democracy that voters turned out for. But so many pundits, so many pollsters get paid so much money to be wrong consistently, and they don't lose their jobs. They get right back up. They're back on TV. Some of these people are making millions of dollars to comment on this stuff and just get it so absolutely wrong. It's really amazing. Another amazing clip is from Trump, who always, seems to deliver in nonsense land. But here he is before the election results all were coming in, talking about, his endorsed candidates. And he endorsed a lot of people. And many of the people that he endorsed did not perform well. But here's what he was saying before those endorsements, before the results of the elections panned out.
You've endorsed more than 330 candidates this election cycle. Tonight, win or lose, the results for Republicans, how much of that will be because of Donald Trump?
Well, I think if they win, I should get all the credit. And if they lose, I should not be blamed at all, okay? But it'll probably be just the opposite. When they win, I think they're going to do very well. I'll probably be given very little credit, even though in many cases I told people to run. And they ran, and they turned out to be very good candidates. They've turned out to be very good candidates. But usually what would happen is when they do well, I won't be given any credit. And if they do badly, they will blame everything on me. So
that's peak Trump right there, right? Like, give me all the credit if it works out really well. If it works out poorly, and people lose, I don't want to be blamed in any way. These are the words of a child. And it's par for the course with Trump. It's unsurprising. He's said things like this in the past about a number of different issues. But, the narcissist, like, he wants to be like given credit when things go well, whether that was while he was president of the economy or anything else, but then he doesn't want to be blamed when things go poorly. And it's not just Trump, right? I mean, you see this with Republicans more broadly when you have Republicans blaming Joe Biden for gas prices going up, for instance, or inflation, when meanwhile gas prices and inflation are going up around the world. And clearly Joe Biden doesn't control what happens in Europe, or anything. But then when gas prices go down or inflation goes down, they're not going to give him credit. It doesn't go both ways. It's just, it's amazing. One more piece of coverage, just talking about how poorly things went for Trump's endorsed candidates. And I mean, they got shellacked, right? From governors to secretaries of state to members of the House to senators. I mean, a number of his like handpicked candidates lost or are very close to losing. And it's pretty amazing.
Trump's candidate in Arizona, Blake Masters, underperforming. Oz, Trump's back candidate, underperforming. Walker, underperforming. Kemp in Georgia. Bolduc, underperforming. Sununu in New Hampshire. Do you sense a pattern here? Right? I mean, in the fight between Mitch McConnell and Trump, Mitch McConnell is the one that was trying to get different types of candidates, and, we'll see what happens here. The only candidate they actually really agreed on was Adam Laxalt in Nevada.
And yet you have tonight, just in the last couple of hours here, the former president coming out and telling reporters at his campaign event at Mar-a-Lago that is happening tonight that he doesn't think that Mitch McConnell should be the person who leads the caucus in the Senate.
This is turning into a disastrous night for Donald Trump and an amazing night for Ron DeSantis, because if the only way now Republicans grab the House is thanks to Ron DeSantis' new map that he jammed in, even after Republicans said, no, that's going to be thrown out in court. And he did it anyway. And those 4 seats may be huge.
So a couple of big takeaways there, right? Like, the first thing is that Trump's handpicked candidates did not do well, and continue to not do well. So what will that mean for the fight within the Republican Party between Trump, McConnell, and DeSantis and others, right? And Chuck Todd, towards the end, especially talking about DeSantis ramming through a very gerrymandered map in Florida that led to them picking up a number of seats. It just speaks volumes to the problem of gerrymandering, the problem of voter suppression that we see. We need to be passing these laws, and hopefully Democrats at some point can take enough control of the House and the Senate to be able to pass laws such as the For the People Act or the Freedom to Vote Act, and the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, because we need to get gerrymandering out of our politics. It's a horrible practice. Both parties do it in various states. Politicians should not be picking their voters. That's just not the way that it should be. Voters should pick their politicians. They shouldn't be carving up maps in horrible ways to basically decide the results of the election before they're even done. Because what ends up happening is whoever wins from the Democrat or the Republican Party ends up being the nominee, no matter what. They're going to end up winning the election, because that's just how the gerrymandering works. And it's really unfortunate because, you had Senator Manchin and Senator Sinema, who are supposedly Democrats, who are blocking a lot of the Democrats' agenda in the Senate and, refusing to budge on the filibuster, refusing to push for these changes that we need to protect our democracy. And in the end, it's just going to cost the Democrats more seats. It's because Republicans consistently do not play fair. They are willing to do whatever it takes to win, lie, cheat, steal, and it shows, right? I mean, we know this to be true. And Democrats, I don't want them to play the exact same games because I think it's wrong. But Democrats need to start playing at their level and fighting, the fight, because standing back and letting Republicans just trounce all over them is not going to get us anywhere. So we'll see in the next few days how these, the rest of the election pans out. It's very close right now. If you look, the latest results here, pretty much tied right now for the Senate. We don't know who's going to end up getting the majority. It may come down to a 50-50 split again. I'm not sure. The House, it's still too soon to tell. It could go either way still. It's not looking great for the Democrats, but it is nowhere near as bad as people thought it was going to be. So we'll see, right? We don't know yet. Hopefully within the next few days, all the results will be, tabulated and will be announced. But the top line is there was no red wave. Hopefully Democrats can pick up a number of seats in 24. Hopefully we'll be able to hold on to the presidency, because whether it's Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis at the top of the Republican ticket, either one of them is extremely dangerous for our democracy.